Alright, great. So let's go into our manager and implement these two functions as well. So delete messages. Yeah, we've already got delete message. And yeah, message IDs. So just like we do for delete message, we want to delete the read records and the message itself. So transaction is good. That makes sense. There is a way to do it in one query though. So we could obviously kind of loop over the message IDs. For each, you know what I'm saying, we could do it like this, like for each message IDs. And then literally just call this. So that would work, but it's not really nice to put a query in a loop like this. Then, you know, you just want to think about performance, and yeah, it's just a nice. This is just going to show you, you know, two ways of doing it, I guess. So we could do it like that, but instead we can kind of do like a delete record select. Again, I like to do this search everywhere, and let's see what we can do here. Yeah, I like this. Moodle has this get in or equal function for the DB, where construction in statement, which is exactly what we want. In SQL, the in would show you basically all those specific IDs that you passed in. We can do that in a new query console. Why not? Just explore some SQL. So we've got a few messages here. These are the IDs. If we do select all from Moodle local message, we get them back. What if we do where ID in 2 or 3? See that? We only get back where the ID is 2 or 3. And obviously we can do different ones, 1 or 3, or... So we can use that principle to... It's one query, but we're returning multiple with a condition like that. In fact, the condition, we know exactly which ones we want. We have the ID. So let's do it that way. I just wanted to jump in and explain a little bit more about this get in or equal function, because I was rewatching and I thought that's a bit confusing. So let's just dive into this in a little bit more detail. What is going on here? Because that looks kind of weird. What I want to do is just do some testing here. So see how we've got manager. I want to call out our little test function here. Alright, so I'm going to just turn on debugging. And we don't have message IDs, but we're going to make it up. So if we have 1 and 2, what is going to happen here is it's going to take these as message IDs and return them as params, as IDs and params. Let's look at what it does. I'm going to put a breakpoint there. Let's go and refresh. So see how IDs is in question mark, and the params is 1, 2. So the query, when it goes through this select, it inserts it just in order, in whatever order this is in, into those question marks. And there could be anything there. Now, why is it called get in or equal? Well, because if there's only one ID here, let's do that again. Let's refresh. Now, see how it doesn't have an in here in IDs? It's just saying equal because there's only one. There's only one thing in the array. So it doesn't need to do in. Because I guess, let's just look at that query console. Doing an in of 1 like that is just less efficient than just saying where in equals that. They're doing the same thing. So it's better, this function just, you know, a little bit smart enough to know that, oh yeah, we don't need to do it an in, let's just do an equal instead because there's only one thing in the array. We can also see that in a raw query. So if we do something like this, I can't even run this query without putting in a param because it expects a param to be inserted for this equals. This is an SQL thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not a Moodle specific thing. This is just how params can be used in queries. You know, obviously super useful in all different frameworks, not just Moodle. We want to take some input and put it as params like that. If we take this, see this select part, it says ID, IDs. Let's just run that again. See that it's taking that equals question mark. That's going to be the where part of the query. Even though it says select, it's the where part. So basically, this is saying select all from this table where this, with these params. Select all from this table where, and as we're just saying it right there, ID and IDs is equals question mark. So that's exactly what that query is doing right now. Let's add in a couple of other ones here. Refresh. Now you can see IDs is in question mark, question mark, question mark with those 3 params. So that would be the same. If I just copy that, I can put that there. ID in that instead. And I can put in some params there manually here in just the query console. Okay, so that's kind of what these two are doing together. Now, in terms of this list part again, let's just look into that. Let's just not use list for a second. Test, right? Test can be just the array with the 2 things returned, right? All we do by using list or by the modern syntax of just 2 separate things like this, we can basically pull out that return value into 2 separate variables at once. So now they've been pulled apart. And I think you can do more. I think you can just kind of arbitrarily put in more variables here, and you can return more variables here, and they will just be pulled apart. So you see how test 3 is testing? So yeah, it's just a way to pull apart that return value straight away into separate variables to use them more easily. Let's go back to our manager, and I liked that. Again, let's just do this. We can just simply pass in our message IDs. And we can use our table. Yeah, I mean, and the other table. I think you do something like that. ID in, and then in this table it's message ID on local message read. And let's do this. Probably change it to messages. Let's see if that works. Another debugging. So if we select the delete button now, we should go in here. Let's do another debug there. So save. So from form, delete all is 1. So we do go there. Message IDs, we only selected that one message, 3. That makes sense. So let's step in there. Start a transaction now. Our IDs, yeah, this is the way it does it. It kind of splits out the params and the IDs like that. We don't need to put in. Let's try that instead. So that was an error. What if we try this now? That looks good. Now I tried to do update messages, so let's look at that. So I think delete messages is good. Now, do we have update? We do have update message. So again, we could do a loop and update each message, but remember, we're just updating the type. So we only have to update one field. So let me show you a better way to do that. So update messages. So instead of doing a for each loop, I'll show you for each message IDs, and you could do this update message ID, and then the message text, we don't even have the message text here, so that wouldn't actually work anyway. But let's not do that. Let's do a similar thing to this, where we basically grab all the message IDs into a list, and then we can do another one here. So, I mean, we've got so many cool and useful functions in DB. One of them is set field select. Yeah. So the table is local message, and the field is type, message type. And see, now we can just kind of do it all in one query. The new value, well, we need to get the new value, and we need to pull that in here. So type, new value will be type. And select will do the same as we have here, ID. Okay, and I think that should be good. Params. Just set that field to the type. If we go back here, we need to feed in the type, obviously. We need to say set all these messages to this type. The type is from the form. From form, what did we call it? Let's have a look at our form here. Message type. And the default is 3, so okay. From form message type. So that should go through and set those messages. It's empty. Yes, okay. We don't want to do both of these anyway. Let's just do it else there. We're only deleting or updating. Should probably check if we have messages before we do either of those, really. If message IDs, then basically go in and delete or update. Okay, so we're on our form, and I don't want to delete, I want to update now. Let's look at the data before we do this. So message type is 0 for both of them. Let's select one of them, change it to something, error. Okay, we need to fix that update messages. Let's look at that. Oh yeah, see we have bool there. Okay, so let's just return the output of that. That's good. Try that again. Okay, so, and you see how we didn't, here, I'm not redirecting yet, because I do want to just stay on that form, so that's nice. But, let's check what happened. Oh yeah, see that? Changed to 2. So that's nice. I think, what is each one? Let's just check that. 0 is warning, 1 is success. Alright, so let's change them both to 1 or success. Select them both, choose success. Yep, that's looking good. We can choose 1, and yeah, it's all looking good. Let's delete one of them. That works, but it doesn't delete from the list, but that's probably okay. We have to refresh the page to actually see it delete there. But I think that's fine, because normally we would automatically go back to the manage page anyway. So, that's looking good. Let's uncomment that now that that seems to be working. And let's just give this a little bit more testing. Let's add a few more messages here. We can bulk edit. We can delete these two. Now, what's going on here? So, let's look at this. Bulk edit on line 63. Oh, yeah. We can't have this. This is taken from the other page. So this is just a message that will show at the top. So we can say bulk edit successful. Alright, let's try that instead. Yeah, so I think that's looking pretty good. So yeah, basically, you know, our form is very similar to our other form. I guess the whole trick here was to dynamically add all the messages to the form here in the definition.